Welcome back to the World Championship Series, everybody. It's time for the last game of the day. We have 7 players who have guaranteed their spots to play at BlizzCon next weekend. It's time to find out the last player, and it's going to be either a Zerg, definitely a Zerg, either a Polish player, definitely a Polish player. What am I on about? We know exactly what's going on. Oh, boys fancy a bit of ZvZ. Todd.
Fancy a cheeky one?
Wow. Tasteless.
Yeah, we fancy ourselves a bit as
We
ZvZ.
do.
Yeah. Next question.
Who's going to win it? Sorry, I was straightforward. Nick, it's been an exciting 4 days, the end of the 4-day now. Both of these players have had an interesting way to where they've got to where they are now. Nerchio has definitely been the more outstanding player between the two of them. Elazer kind of surrendered versus TY yesterday, which is a little bit unfortunate to see. Now, one of them must move forward. Obviously, there's only one straight winner, which is the Polish community. But we do need to decide which one it's going to be.
I think it should be Nerchio, unless his opponent has focus like Elazer.
Oh, sick. Wow.
That's why we bring Tasteless on the couch.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
I
That's what Danny's here as well, to be like, whoa! Even though it was like
oh,
really
he's
bad.
funny. Ah, this guy, I love him. No, I think basically everyone in the world except for Elazer and his parents want Nerchio to go to the top 8. Like, this guy, he's been such a force on the scene. He actually can fight against someone like a TY or a Bjorn or really anyone in the world he can fight against. Whereas Elazer, like, he has his moments, he has his spots, and of course a couple matchups where he's extremely good. But like, for instance, if he goes up against a TY or Bjorn, we're probably just going to see the same type of thing that we saw where he just falls over. So we're hoping, I guess, to see Nerchio, see if maybe he can really fight and like make a deep run. But it's a ZvZ best of 3, so like Elazer is extremely good at ZvZ.
Out of all the players here in this tournament, these two have the most history by far. They've played 44 matches against each other, which is crazy. Like it's like they play every other weekend. Yeah. And that's in all of StarCraft. On Legacy of the Void, they've played 27 matches, and it's, I think, 22-5 in Nerchio's favor. Wow. So he's heavily favored over Elazer. So I don't know, like I feel like Elazer might have this mentality where he's like an underdog. I spoke with him, he's like, I prepared, I don't think it's going to be 8 minutes this time. And
for Nerchio, for me, it doesn't make too much sense for him to be on the top of the European scene, to travel to play against the Koreans, get an unfortunate matchup versus Maru a couple of weeks back, have a very close series to TY, or he's looking good, and then he loses versus Elazer. That's kind of the... That doesn't compute very well to me, and he should be challenging with the rest of these top 8 players.
I'm actually curious because in the games against TY, we saw that he just wasn't that confident. I mean, I don't think that was the best strats he had in that matchup, but that was, I think, the closest to a sucker punch attempt in those games, and I'm wondering if maybe this time around we're going to see him do something similar against Nerchio, just given the situation, since Nerchio's kind of the favorite.
And yeah, you know, what you were saying, Sean, like, I think that if Nerchio does fall here, it's actually kind of a sad story because he's been one of the most vocal European pros about Europe being extremely good, about himself being the same level or higher than the Korean Zergs. And if he is quote-unquote proven wrong by losing a close match to Maru, a close match to TY, and then a ZvZ best of 3, that's kind of like a sad thing for Nerchio, right? Like, we want to see him do better than that. We want to see him actually have a far run where it's not like the closest matches against the best players.
Yeah, and he goes up against Elazer, Todd, who you mentioned a little bit about their head-to-head, 5 wins against 22 losses, if you look at it from his perspective. Quite the deficit. They do know each other inside out. Both of them, I spoke to them this morning, they both said that, you know, as much as they do know each other, it's still at the end of the day a best of 3 Zerg versus Zerg where they do believe both sides, it's almost as close as a 50-50.
yeah, I think it should be like fairly close in a way, because even though like the stats kind of go against Elazer, he's, like I said before, picking at the right time, and he's on a steady rise. He's like one of the newer players. He's really getting better at a faster rate than most players. He's going up against a Nerchio who for the longest time has struggled in the matchup, but who seems to have worked a lot on it, specifically here for this tournament. And who can blame him, really? He had Solar and Elazer in his group.
Yeah. I mean, you know, though you and I rode over here with Nerchio this morning, and he was saying that, like, he really doesn't feel any pressure or anything. He's played so many live tournaments.
He doesn't feel much of anything at all coming in here. To be honest, You know, the guy's got a lot of experience in tournaments, but it's not just the experience of playing live and playing under pressure. He's played against this individual, Elazer, so many times as well. So I would definitely say I think his mind is in the right place.
But for Elazer, like he is the underdog, and there shouldn't be that much pressure on him because you know he's one of those guys that kind of snuck in. He was tied for 8th place. You know, there was a couple dropouts. He didn't even have to play a match to get in. And really, no one's expecting much of him.
And
right?
he also went already through a series that was like pretty, I don't want to say humiliating, but I guess I kind of did. Like that just didn't.
It can't be worse than that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the way you should be looking at it, and that's pretty much what he told me earlier when I spoke to him very briefly. So hopefully it goes better for him because two series like this, that would be a lot.
The players are waiting to start the match then. So let's do our final little hurrah, I suppose.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, I was thinking.
My hurrah says 2-0 Nerchio.
I would go with a 2-1 for Nerchio, I think, here.
Elazer 2-1.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to head then to a very, very brief break, and then when we come back, we will find the 8th player to guarantee ourselves the top 8 ready for BlizzCon next week.
The 2016 World Championship Series Global Finals is brought to you by Intel, T-Mobile, NVIDIA, and Republic of Gamers.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the final game of the day, the final elimination. I'm in control. He's Rotterdam. Kevin, what are your thoughts? You follow the European scene very closely. I had a joke or something. Nah, I want to get right into the hard facts. Elazer, Nerchio, both these guys from Poland. Who takes it?
I think Nerchio is going to take it, but I think it is going to be very close, and I'm sure that he's feeling the pressure at least a little bit. Like, yes, the stats in the head-to-head record heavily in favor of Nerchio, but these stats are super inflated. There are a lot of when Elazer was nowhere near the player he currently is. Like, if you just look at the last 5 times they played, Elazer won twice of them, and one of them was a 3-4 loss. So that just shows how close it is right now between these two.
And I'm super pumped. We're going to head to Apotheosis here, as there are 2 Zerg players. They don't mind it too much. Lower right-hand side from Poland, it's Nerchio.
On the left top side of Apotheosis, we're looking at the main base of the man that wants to step out of the shadow of Nerchio. It is Elazer.
And I want to go to your point, Kevin. You had said that head-to-head, of course, favoring Nerchio. He is the guy with the bigger results, but I almost have to disagree with some of the guys on the broken desk, or the broken couch, if you will. I think that because Elazer is now playing Nerchio to advance to the round of 8 and you know, get $5,000 more, he knows he can. He has. He's won series against him. And coming out of this group where there was a couple of chances, and Elazer himself said this, where he's just like, yeah, stand 0% chance. All of a sudden, it's believable. Still an underdog, I agree with that, but believable, and that does add some pressure to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And what also adds pressure is that this tournament has been a roller coaster of emotions for him already. And that sounds sometimes cliche to say. It's like, God, they're playing a group stage. They have played 2 matches. Like, what kind of a roller coaster? But it went from that super high, you know, beating Solar on this stage. That's amazing. That's so fantastic for Elazer to arguably one of the worst things that could ever happen. He tweeted about it as well. He's like, I just have no idea what I did there. I won't forgive myself for it. Like, that's an actual quote. So that adds pressure as well.
Agreed. Now, guys, getting into the game here. We're seeing something a little bit wonky. Elazer is going to go 3 hatch before pool. And in a ZVP, not that uncommon. ZvZ, a little bit more uncommon. But a lot of times when you know your opponent really well, and literally, Elazer and Nerchio just got done doing battle for WCG. They played each other as they're 2 of the Europeans' top players on a regular basis. You can start to do weird stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, even after that tournament, they played against each other again online in a tournament hosted by Wardy. That was the 4-3 victory in favor of Nerchio. And then to make things even crazier, they even played in the national Polish qualifier for WESG. So that's like a time span of 6-7 weeks where they've played 3 high-profile matches against each other. Obviously, none of them as big as this one, but still, that just comes to show how often these two run into each other. But still.
In a WCG throwback for you guys. I do like this, by the way. So Nerchio sees the gold. There's a part of him that's like, oh, you're cheeky. I'm going to throw down a Bailey Nest. I should have a speed advantage. That's where I'm going to try and punish you. But what he doesn't see is it gets worse. This Overlord's circling around from the gold. A little bit of a scuffle on the left-hand side. But if it goes over and sees creep at the natural too, he's like, wait a second, gold and your natural? Well, I have to do it now. I got to punish you.
That's pretty insane. Would be awesome to see the income graph for a split second here, just to see how good this start has been for Elazer. Obviously, there's that dip when he's transferring the workers, but right now, he doesn't just have a hatchery more, he also has an income advantage. It's safe to say that Nerchio has to make up his mind real quick about what he wants to do about this, and he's just going to expand himself. All right.
It's like anti-timing. He scouts the natural at the same time as his third hatch going down and a drone pop. So he's like, if there was a window of time to really pile it on and try to capitalize here, I feel like to a certain extent it's closed. 3 hatches earlier on, Queen's injecting, speed finishing for Elazer. I feel like he's going to be pretty okay.
Well, I love it. Look at Elazer's point of view, exactly like that. Look at the minimap. There is just something moving all over the map. He wants to make sure he's not going to be surprised by 2 banelings blowing up 7, 8 drones. So he wants to make sure he has got all the attack paths covered, and he has for now. I really love the way he's splitting up all of his units.
It's really frustrating if you're Nerchio when your opponent is playing like pretty risky, but then also very smart. You're like, come on, man, where's the hole in your play so far? Nerchio's going to swing around. He's actually quite famous for his lings, by the way. Not necessarily in ZvZ, but in all the matchups, really. He'll get some magic done. He's going to run into the natural here. Going to go after a couple of drones. Gets 1, 2, a little bit of damage here, which is nice. You can see their harvester count is about equal, which is a pretty big deal for Nerchio, who's been behind in hatchery.
This is actually doing way more, I think, than it should have. This was just a couple of links, and Elazer had links as well, but they were on the other side of the map. They didn't really get anything done because there were defensive banes for Nerchio as well. Meanwhile, Nerchio just almost casually picks up 6 workers, but that makes up for that early game advantage that Elazer created for himself.
But on the flip side here, if a drone did die, it was only 1, but I don't know that any did. Elazer's going to try to get some work done with his lings, as he did have a slight army advantage, but that has now been diminished. Little drone lead, but that's kind of the ebb and flow of ZvZ. Both players are going to be like, I made lings, and the other guy's like, all right, well, I'll defend, and then I'll make lings, and it goes back and forth that way for a while.
Double evolution chamber on the other side of the map for Elazer. That's kind of cool. Not something I've seen super often, especially not on this map, because most of the time this map is super short and explosive. It's like, all right, one player takes the goal, the other one wants to make sure he can do something about it. But it's going to turn into Roach Ravager wars, as we see missile attacks being researched. Of course, Carapace being researched for Nerchio as well. Layer is a little bit faster for Nerchio, who's once again going to try to find an opening, but I don't think he will get that much done this time.
Well, man, you know, you're bold. You're taking the estimate. Anytime Nerchio lings run around, I'm always just like, well, let's hang on. They could do nothing or kill 35,000 drones. He somehow just managed. Like, I saw him kill 1 there, but a second one died somewhere, and that's just what he does. Otherwise, good defense from Elazer. And you can see a supply advantage for him, too, by the way, which is a big deal on ZvZ. That can get... That does go back and forth, but if it gets a little bit too out of whack one way or the other, like if you have too many drones or too much army, it can be good and bad, reflectively.
Did Nerchio spot both evolution chambers? Because that's not something that's super common. But yes, he did see both, so that's why it's very nice. He was actually able to get into the main base.
Whoa. Good pull back on the lings there, trying to bait out the baneling. They were trying to get up to the top of that ramp, but he does have roaches out, does Nerchio, so he's got to be feeling pretty okay about this. These lings went from raiders to now pretty much scouters. This 4th base should get canceled on the left side of the map as well. As I say that, though, he does get inside the main. If you get a couple drone kills here, sees the Spire. That's nice as well.
He doesn't just see it, he's going to try to cancel it, and there's a very good chance that he will succeed in doing so. That's a massive cancel, especially because Elazer is trying to get his Spire up on the other side of the map as well. And that Spire was a good 20 seconds faster or so that's very good for Elazer.
Even bails him out of the tech. We actually see an infestation pit going, or not pit, but yeah, it is a pit.
It is a pit.
I question myself on air sometimes. Like, it can't be a pit. That seems silly. It's a pit, Jeff. Anyways, he is going to swap out of that tech, and we see a melee upgrade coming from him. So it's safe to say heading towards probably Ultralisk, which is something that's really cool in the ZvZ matchup. But with that Spire, that can be more relevant earlier on, Kevin.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty sick tech switch, which I'm not sure if Elazer is expecting it. He does have an Overseer over here on the south side of the map. He spots a couple of these roaches of Nerchio. Nerchio doing the exact same thing on the other side of the map. But of course, Elazer will have an advantage when it comes to full-on roach wars because of that double evo. And it seems like Nerchio was aware of that. A couple of units from Elazer caught out of position. Roach speed is about to finish up though, but not before. I think 2 or 3 roaches will fall here.
Yeah.
Well, just 1.
It's just the 1. Kind of interesting, though. Elazer had that flank going on that bridge as well, but I guess he just kind of made the choice of saying, you know what, even if I could technically win this Roach battle, it'd be too close for me to want to commit to, because if there's lings coming up behind that, too, and he loses that fight, it gets really bad for him.
Yeah, Elazer didn't send that Overseer in, though, so I don't think he knows about that Infestation Pit, correct?
No.
This could be a huge surprise, especially if he ends up making 15 or 20 Middleisk. For now, it's just 7, but if he ends up making a whole lot more, this could actually turn things quite quickly.
5 Infestors popping out. It's, by the way, it's now sexy to not get the upgrade where they have a fungal as they come out. You just don't get it anymore. I'm not. I'd love to know the math on it. Like, you know, we're
3K in the bank, but
okay,
it's not worth it yet.
But there's, you know, with that joke, by the way, you just earned the ire of like 15 pro gamer Zergs. You're like, he doesn't know. But still a supply advantage for Elazer. The mules are going to be felt out there. As we say that, though, some Lings going to ransack over there. And look at Nerchio. Look how aggressive he is with those roaches. Those roaches are retreating from deep in the gold base, by the way.
If you just take a look at the amount of drones that have fallen this game, like it feels like this has been rather a slow game so far, but Nerchio has somehow found an opportunity for himself to pick off 13 workers. Yeah. That's a lot with just a couple of Lings. Now, I have to say,
still behind in workers.
Yeah, I have to say that this is a very large map, so it would be a lot more catastrophic on a map like Frozen Temple or something. It's really hard to find windows. One fungal does connect with 4 Mutalisks, but I believe there are no Ravagers.
Yep. So
these fungals will actually not be able to do that much. Queens will pick up 1 and maybe
only a couple queens. Honestly, if you're only going to make those mutas, by the way, okay, those are Ravaged. I thought he was making...
Look at Elazer, he's maxed out. Jeff, I think he's going to go for it. 2-2 upgrades are more than halfway done. He's really going to try to find a window before the Ultralisk are on for Nerchio.
Pushes in here. He's going to get to the high ground. The mutas actually bought the whole army pulled over there. A bit of a mistake for Nerchio. Good concave from... Oh, and the Corrosive Biles do get some connections. He's going to go ahead and get a good fight here. Link circling up from the back, but with these upgrades, not the best of flanks. And Nerchio, trailing 40 supply to his countrymen, is looking to take a bad fight and perhaps lose this game.
Nerchio is in a lot of trouble. Mutalisks helping out now as well. All of these roaches will fall. GG, Elazer.
Oh my god. It's like, if you have this dynamic in your family, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's when the little brother beats you in Mario Kart for the first time, and you're like, the feeling is palpable. It sucks. I mean, after you take his head to the toilet, of course, it feels bad after that too. But Elazer, 1-0 in this short best of 3, and he does it with a lot of mind games, Kevin. Triple expanding, going for the Mutalisk tech off of the cancel on the other side of the map. It's Nerchio that's second-guessing himself. It's Nerchio that's trying to get it done with his aggression, but every time he killed like 6 or 7 drones, he was still behind in Harvesters.
What I love most is that, yes, he had faster mutas out, and he could have made a few more, tried to pick off drones one at a time, and tried to sing this game out, and eventually go up against the scary army, but just because he would be so far ahead in upgrades or bases, he would be confident, but he's like, no, I'm just going to make 6 or 7, I'm going to force out the reaction, even baited out a couple of fungals that only picked off 2 Mutalisks, and he's like, all right, I'm maxed out, I'm going to go for it. I know what you're doing on the other side of the map, I know that you need time, I'm not going to give you the time. His 2 upgrades were not even done yet. They were almost done, but not even done. But he's like, I'm just going to go for it, and he sealed it.
You know, there very subtly, by the way, was a huge mistake by Nerchio. 4 mutas go to the gold base mineral line, and he sent the roaches and everything over there. He definitely did the lazy pro gamer, like grab your army, throw it in that direction. When, of course, roaches can't shoot up, so there's no reason for them to go over there. That allowed for Elazer to take the high ground, get that concave. To be fair, there was already a supply advantage for Elazer. He was already favored to win that fight, but maybe it goes from losing the game to, well, I mean, it goes from like being behind to losing the game. So Nerchio's going to kick himself a little bit there, but guys, we may be watching a pretty big upset here. If you've been following the European scene, these guys have traded wins and losses, of course, but Nerchio getting the lion's share. And as Kevin said yesterday, usually it's Nerchio that, like, at the end of the tournament, for the major tournaments, like, all right, Elazer, you beat me in the qualifier, but this is Nerchio time. I'm going to beat you here.
Yep, we are loaded into King Sejong Station. It's everything or nothing for this man spawning on the south side of the map. He is, of course, Nerchio. Looked pretty stressed after that game. I'm not sure if you were paying attention, but he did not look happy at all.
No, and how could he? He's facing off against his fellow countryman. I was going to call him friend, but I'm not sure if they are friends on Facebook. In the top left-hand side, the blue Zerg, it is Elazer.
Well, if they are, Jeff, after this game, the status will be it's complicated.
It is complicated. Sure. About $5,000 complicated.
Yeah. You will not see any more updates of this person on your timeline. Check. You know, I don't want to see any pictures of Elazer at BlizzCon.
You're not wrong, actually. It's Elazer's like, wow, I can't believe I won. Next update's like, I'm so excited to play this weekend. And Nerchio's just like, get him off my Facebook right now. But Elazer, it is a best of 3, and that's where this gets a little bit scary, too. A lot of the storylines you guys were talking about yesterday, I really like. Like, Nerchio has a close series against TY. Incredible. Awesome. Okay? But if he then goes on to just lose to Elazer, people forget about this series against TY. I'm sure Nerchio does. And he says this was a failure of a BlizzCon. Kind of similar with Elazer. Elazer, less expectations. But the last time we saw him, it was one of the most inept, flailing, horrible attempts from a pro gamer to battle another pro gamer. It would have made sense if before the game we see Elazer just got up. He's going over to him. What's he saying? He's saying, "I quit." Oh, okay, yeah, we're not even gonna play the game, guys. He just surrenders. But instead, he tried these 2 all-ins against a very, very good player.
Yeah, and we've mentioned a couple of times how there is $5,000 on the line for the person who makes it out of the group stage, and that's awesome. But then suddenly you play one single best of 5 for $15,000. And, you know, both of these players, they are guaranteed to avoid any of the 2 Terrans, which I think they both fear the most. So it's safe to say that both Elazer and Nerchio, no matter who they face in the round of 8, excuse me, they'll have a very realistic shot at advancing as well. I mean, just to put things in perspective, for the people who say like, Elazer can't beat any of the Protosses, he beat Showtime 3-0 just 2 weeks ago. This guy is incredibly good in ZVP as well.
Absolutely. Now we do see Elazer opting for a little bit more of a standard opening. Both players kind of falling back on that. The faster third will go down for him, and Nerchio going to have the Baneling Nest. Actually, I was just about to talk about how Elazer went the entirety of last game without a Baneling Nest, but there is his own as well. So a fairly normal opening for both players. I think Nerchio will be more comfortable in that area. He's not a player that gets outsmarted very often, almost at all. He's really known for his defense and for his good multitasking. It makes him a very strong defensive player.
But I almost felt that Elazer exploited that, right? Like, he's like, I know that he's going to play it safe. I know that he's very confident in his ability to beat me. Well, let's exploit it. Let's skip that Baneling Nest. Let's go up to 3 hatcheries before a pull, which is, in ZvZ, it's pretty crazy. I guess if you would do it on any map, maybe Apotheosis is the map because it just takes 3 years and a bit for the Overlord to make it to the other side of the map. But still.
He does it on like Dasan though. We're just sitting over here like, this is not a real build. Get him on the NA ladder, he'll lose for free. All right, Banelings out from Nerchio though.
And 12 links as well. That's just a few more links than you normally see. So it's safe to say that he wants to be able to do something with it. There are 2 Banes morphing as well. He's going to bring this. Like, Nerchio doesn't have to do insane amounts of damage with this, but it would be nice to get something out of his investment. Just a couple of drones or force out any sort of reaction out of Elazer.
And it's going to be a tough task. There's already a couple Banelings for Elazer as well. He has his own Roach Warren. So if Nerchio's to get some damage done here, it's going to be that Nerchio magic. Has to be careful not to get too big of a detonation.
And he's starting to work on that hatchery. It's going to be incredibly difficult to kill. Wow, 2 Banelings sneaked into the mineral line. Wow, good reaction time though by Elazer.
Oh my god, it worked!
No inside jokes on camera, Jeff. R2 tweeted.
That's a very outside joke. That's why I like it.
I know. It was like an on-camera joke, guys. I have to say, though, amazing splits there by Elazer. If he's not paying attention there for a split second, ends up losing 8-9 drones, I wouldn't say game over, but it becomes incredibly complicated immediately.
Goes after the queen, sees that there's no transfusions. He's actually going to fight a second queen. He probably gets that one as well.
Wow, this is sick. Well, where are the links?
There's no help here.
Where did the links go from Elazer? They were way out of position. The Banelings were way out of position as well. Nerchio getting 3 queens just like that.
Yeah, that's not good if you are an Elazer fan. And this is where you can kind of start to see too, like the magic of Nerchio, like that aggression. He pumps in, sees that there's no transfusions. He's like, you know what? I'll get a queen. He's like, no lings here. Okay, second and third.
15 drones. Nerchio's like, I just picked up 3 queens. I highly doubt that you have any plans of attacking me. So I'm just going to make 15 drones. And yes, Nerchio was a little bit behind at first economically because he made those links and Banes earlier than his opponent. But he made up for it big time.
He did. Good scout here, though, from Elazer. He's going to be happy to pull in there. I believe he saw the lair at the natural, I want to say. So that's nice for him as well. Actually, no, excuse me. Is that the third? The lair's at the third. Then never mind. He saw nothing.
Maybe
as far as he's concerned, there's no lair.
There are 12 drones in Nerchio, just kind of knows. I guess he saw these 2 links.
This is where he... Okay, yeah. Because he used to be... I'm going to bring it up. It's fine. But, like, back in the day, a lot of the Europeans seems like, yeah, Nerchio hacks. And a little moment like that, you're like, He's just a very smart guy, man.
You know why? Also, even before Nerchio ever started competing and winning tournaments, Nerchio used to be a random player before he played Zerg. He was actually random. So everyone's like, who's this guy that doesn't really participate in tournaments but destroys everybody on the ladder with all 3 races at once?
It was day 9.
Yeah. No, it wasn't day 9 actually.
Not this time?
All right. It was Nerchio.
We don't know that though. It could have been day 9 over on the European server. The Smurferino, that guy. I love that Sean. Nerchio going to go ahead and get a little bit more aggressive here. Supplies are equalizing, though. Army count fairly similar as well. So this is going to be kind of, again, one of those feel-me-out things. Ravagers able to snipe a few Overlords, deny information that way, get a little bit of a nice
so even.
kills.
105 out of 106 for both, and both having 4 Overlords on the way at the same time. Nerchio still having a few more workers.
Look at Nerchio links. He's going to kill, like, it says 3, but it might be 9. Yeah. Oh,
it
he
was
doesn't,
so close to
just
getting a
doesn't get the
fourth.
fourth. So good.
Super even game. Needless to say, attacking is going to be hard for both players. That's why it's so insane, by the way, that Elazer was able to close out game number 1 with his first real attack. On Apotheosis, out of all maps, like I think it's a map that if it reaches that Roach against Roach phase, it's normally incredibly hard to attack into your opponent because it takes so long for your reinforcements to arrive, but he just hit such a crisp, clean timing.
I gotta give a tip of the hat a little bit here to Elazer. Like the whole first half of this game, I felt like it was Elazer getting picked on. His lanes weren't doing as much damage, losing 3 queens for free, all that stuff. He had like a slightly faster third. But as we go to this game, as you said, Kevin, it's like dead even in every respect. So just a nice rally back by him.
Yeah, even having a small upgrade advantage, which could come into play. I think it's big enough that he may be able to force a fight once he gets +2. He's going to click on the roaches, obviously, of his opponent as well. One Ravager took quite some damage, but will not fall. All right, there we go. Hydra Den. I'm expecting Hydra Dens on both sides. I mean, we've seen the power of the Lurker a couple of times. Elazer's Solar, for instance, on Galactic Process, a game where it looked like Solar was dead. And then he got 2 shots off on a couple of Lurkers, and suddenly
They're
Elazer
powerful,
was the one.
but I like them because against Ravagers there's risk. You know, I think it's we haven't done enough of this, guys, but StarCraft's a beautiful game, and David Kim, you get a lot of the credit because you're kind of the face of it, but it's in a nice spot right now. It's really interesting. Like, Lurkers aren't one-dimensional where they pop out and you're like, okay, in order to fight Lurkers, you must have Mutas or you must have Ultilisk. There are answers for me. Ravagers, picking them up as they come up and out of the ground. It's just really fun dynamics right now.
Yeah, super micro-intensive. Same goes for PvP, which is, you know, explains the tweet of Harstem a little bit as well earlier. Just incredibly micro-intense. And for ZvZ, it goes the same. It's obviously a little different type of micro with Lurkers, which is a burrowed unit. But at the same time, it's just as intense, if not even more intense, trying to dodge those spikes over and over.
And a nice little subtle nod to Papa Dustin Browder, by the way. The rocks being knocked down there is actually what delayed the 4th base from being under attack right here, and has allowed Elazer to kind of bounce back over here and have a nice reactive spot.
I mean, we kind of call Nerchio the king of engagements at first. He's going to bring his other roaches in, but so far I think I like Elazer's position. He's bringing in the other units from the back as well. He's going to go for the sandwich.
He's going to get a flank. He's on both sides here. The Ravagers are actually taking cross-pile shots.
Wow.
One of the ways to avoid that damage is to have the movement to get out of it, but if you're sandwiched like this, you can't. Getting this around with Elazer up 20, 30 supply. Is Elazer going to be able to seal the deal right now? That's a lot of damage done for very little. Like, trading your armies that heavily in favor of one player over the other is a huge deal.
And let's not forget that 4th base was a pretty offensive 4th base by Nerchio, so it's very exposed. And +2 is finishing up now for Elazer. Are we going to see another upset here in the WCS Global Playoffs round of 16?
It's looking like it, Kevin. He's going to actually go past here. Nerchio's trying to do something. He's going to counterattack here, but there's already rallied roaches. They're going to be able to chase it off for free. That is a lot of the army supply there, by the way, as well. It's dying in the middle of the map. The Lazer's actually pulling back. I mean, I think he just is like, I'm so far ahead that I'm not going to risk it. He is going to shove forward. Nerchio reaching for the heavens. He's going for the Lurker Den, but will he have time, Kevin?
His +2 is finishing up. It's going to be very hard. I think Elazer has the game sense, knowing that Nerchio lost just a little too much to replace all those units. Obviously, he's worked as well. He doesn't want to throw the game. He eats a couple of corrosive files, but I think it's just a numbers game, and I think Elazer has just more.
Elazer on the low ground now. He can just kite forward. Nerchio eventually has to fight. He cannot give up his third, and here is that spot. Lurker Den is spotted, so Elazer will at least have that information. Going for the surrounder. He is fighting into Spine Crawlers, though. If there was ever a time that Nerchio could defend, it would have been now, but I just think the supply differential is just too much. Landing those corrosive files. Elazer looking to 2-0 Nerchio and go to the round of 8. GG is called, and oh, would you believe it? Upset City.
Wow. Elazer. Finally,
look at Nerchio.
I think it's safe to say stepping out of the shadow of Nerchio. They play a lot against each other, and yes, the record was heavily in favor of Nerchio, but this is probably the biggest best of 3 that these two have ever played against each other. What a game. What a series by Elazer. Just excellent game sense. We call Nerchio the king of engagements often. Did you see that sandwich? Elazer set that up. Nerchio left a couple of units behind. Elazer was aware of those units, and once Nerchio sent those units towards his main force, that's when Elazer went for it. He found all those Ravagers. They were super exposed. Just beautiful series by Elazer. What a moment for him.
And if you're a Zerg, I guess if you're the other Zerg in this tournament, Dark, you're looking over here and you're like, geez, the Korea's lost a few PvPs. Is there another ZvZ in there? Because you had talked about the Terrans are going to avoid Elazer most likely in this round of 8. We'll have to see how that shapes up. But it's not true for the Protoss. She has a good matchup, but also the other Zerg. And you have to come away from this with respect for Elazer ZvZ. He took out Solar, defending against all ends, just outplaying him, and now Nerchio. And Nerchio, by the way, guys, is, again, one of those players like a Snoot, like a Neeblet, he's one of the people that has gone to Korea, has played in every country that StarCraft has been at, and has won major tournaments. And Elazer outshines him with a 2-0 and outplays him in both games.
What a year for this man. Last year, the biggest achievement of his career was finishing top 4 at a home story cup. He never did better than that. That was kind of a breakthrough performance for him. It's like, wow, Elazer made it to the playoffs at home story cup. That's awesome. Fast forward 1 year, quarterfinals BlizzCon. Wow.
Jeez Louise, guys. Well, we're having an amazing, amazing day. That is the final match of Elimination Sunday, but don't go anywhere because we're going to throw it to a quick break. But after that, we are going to look at that round of 8. We're going to shape it up. We're going to draw some names. We're going to see what our BlizzCon looks like. And I hope you guys will stick around for that because BlizzCon is going to kick some serious butt. We'll be right back, guys.
Our final spot in the top 8 for the quarterfinals of the WCS Global Finals came down to one ZvZ, and Elazer comes out on top over Nerchio. So, first of all, Elazer, at a tournament where Solar is out, Snoot is out, Deer is out, you are moving on to the top 8.
Well, yeah. I always consider myself a good player, but I didn't expect myself to go out of this group. For sure, I thought maybe I'll take a map. That was my goal coming to BlizzCon, but yeah, now I'm very happy.
And you were just up against Nerchio, and people have been bringing this up that in a head-to-head score, Nerchio was overwhelmingly ahead. And we have to also bring up the fact that he was #1 ranked in Poland for the longest time. So because of that, does a win here feel even more satisfying, knowing you beat someone that you've historically lost a lot to?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what to say. Like, I always lose to Nerchio. I think it's a mental block because I know many players beat Nerchio that I beat. So I know like there will come a time where I will beat Nerchio consistently. But yeah, I think I still have the mental block, and I had to do some gamble strategies to beat him this time.
So speaking of the mental block, you on the stage where it matters most was able to beat him in a very convincing 2-0. So what do you think? You just mentioned some gambling strategies, but explain a little bit more.
Again, sorry.
Explain how do you think you were able to beat Nerchio when you said yourself that you feel like you have this mental block against him?
Yeah, I think Nerchio thinks that I play timing attacks in ZvZ every game pretty much. So like 40 drone, roach link all in, 50 drone, roach link all in. But this time I thought maybe I would play super greedy and try to all in him, but differently. This time with like 200 army of roach, and it worked perfectly. On Apotheosis I went 300 before pool, got very big advantage I think economically, and yeah, from that on I couldn't lose I think.
Well, with this win, you have secured yourself into the quarterfinals, where next week you'll be playing on a massive stage in front of so many fans. That's a phenomenal achievement. What does this moment mean for you?
This is the best moment in my StarCraft 2 career, for sure. I don't know what to say. It feels so good.
All right, well, congratulations, Elazer. Very much well-deserved. And with that, we do have our 8th and final player secured for our quarterfinals at the WCS Global Finals. It will be Elazer.
Barbecue and listen to them.
Not the contender we thought would be the 8th player, but a contender nonetheless. Elazer has claimed his spot to play live from BlizzCon next weekend in Anaheim. Joining me on the couch, we have Todd, we have Autosis, we have Tasteless. Guys, all 3 of you, 1, 2, 3 of you, predicted that it would be Nerchio, or thought it would be Nerchio, but it is Elazer who takes that.
That's wrong. I said Elazer.
You said Elazer.
No, you didn't.
I can't believe you guys would lie about
And
this.
Dan
oh my
said
God.
the fans were going to win, so I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you didn't. Elazer goes through, takes that spot away from Nerchio. Obviously a big moment for him, Tasteless.
Yeah, look, I mean, he played a lot better. He looked really good. I think initially a lot of people might be sad that Nerchio's not there, but you can't stay on top forever, and it looks like there's been a little bit of a power shift here between these 2 Polish players.
Yeah, Elazer's like kind of skill set, the way that he plays the game, does make him pretty good at the ZvZ matchup. Really, like oftentimes when you talk to macro Zergs, they're going to feel more comfortable against Terran and against Protoss and have a harder time in ZvZ. So I'm not like super duper surprised, but Elazer, how far can he get? I feel like if he avoids Terrans, he can actually, you know, he definitely can make some big upsets.
He's been on the rise. I mentioned this, and again, like it really feels like all of his work is coming to fruition now. Believe it or not, I think that huge loss to TY helped him because he already got like one ridiculous loss and match out of the way, and now he was playing against somebody that, again, he might have had some difficult thoughts going into the match, thinking that, you know, he would be the underdog or something, and that really helped him exploit his full potential. He did ballsy stuff here. He took the gold base first here in that first game, and now anything's possible out of Elazer as well, except maybe if he meets a Terran, which would be very scary, but he was in the same group as TY, so they could only meet again in the grand finals. So the people they can meet are first place finishers. So they are like Dark, Zest, and Showtime.
Yeah.
Wow.
He beat Showtime recently 3-0 over in Kiev for a qualifier. So imagine he gets Showtime again, beats him again, then
Gets Dark in the next round, maybe.
Beats Dark.
Beats Dark, goes to the finals.
He's good against the Zergs, man.
Plays Zest, beats
well,
Zest.
there you
Zest in
go,
the
the show's
finals.
over.
Yeah, we got a new Laser champion at that point. You never know until you see the bracket what the possibilities are, but I do agree. I think the only people we have to completely count them out against are the 2 Terrans.
And I think what also is great about this is we have a dark horse now. We have an official dark horse in this round of 8, and that's exciting as well. As
Yeah.
we don't know what to expect from this guy. He got this far. That was surprising. How far can he go now?
Yeah, big moment for him indeed. And you can see some final highlights, or did see some final highlights, should I say. and I think he explained it perfectly, is that, there was a mind game involved where he was expecting Nerchio to think there was a lot more aggression coming his way, when in reality, he played the opposite game. He was greedy. He played the economy game. He got a big lead. And so he kind of, in that way, he simply did outplay Nerchio and gained his spot.
Absolutely. Like, this wasn't random. Yeah, a lot of people like to say that ZvZ is a coin flip or something, but we definitely saw that he knew which risks to take, and Nerchio maybe was playing a little bit too safe, and Nerchio made mistakes in there.
Yeah.
When he got flanked there on King Sejong Station,
Yeah.
he wasn't supposed to be standing there. He knows that. He'll tell you that.
Isn't there an epic quote about this, like the cheesiest thing?
A cheeser can do is play a macro game.
Who said that? Is that you, Tasteless?
I
I'll take it.
think
Yeah,
it was.
that
I think
me.
it was Tasteless.
Yeah. Taste Fuchsius. Yeah. Man cannot play StarCraft with clenched fists. Yeah, all those